With how, fox, how! With hey, fox, hey! Come no more into our house to bear our geese away. The false fox came into our croft, and so our geese full fast he sought. The false fox came into our sty and took our geese there by and by. The false fox came into our yard, and there he made the geese a fad. The false fox came into our gate and took our geese there where they sate. The false fox came
Having
to
a boyfriend, or I don't know if he was a husband at that time or not, doesn't really make much difference. I must tell you the story about why we married, because we'd never intended to. We were living in a large apartment building which had been put up for a certain, I don't know what you'd call it, but it was a Wohngemeinschaft, a sort of a living people with a philosophy, and you all had to be married and work into, we really took very little notice of this, but we were expected to be married to be living in that place, and we said, okay, we'll get married. I thought it might last a couple of years, and it was just a bit of fun, and so we tried to get married, and of course you had to have all these papers come from New Zealand and things that we didn't have, like big birth certificates with all the details of your parents, as well as your own birth and death, and what you were doing in the year of 1936, June 1936, and all sorts of strange things like this, and police clearances, which we didn't do, and so it took us a year to get all the papers through, and by that stage, of course, we'd been living in this place for a year, and then we had our wedding party and invited everybody who lived there, 5 floors of people, and they were horrified, absolutely horrified, that we had been living there amongst them as a married couple. Oh, tut, tut, tut. So very conservative. So Roger and I did a lot of music together, and he'd always been bemoaning the fact that this early piece, I'd used his lovely Middle High German texts and had only given him consonants, so he said, this time, please, could he have some words to sing? And so that's how the Beasts grew up. We both hunted for texts and came up with the Oxford book of medieval or early verse, so most of the texts are from that. It had a great dictionary of poetry, and the ones that we were interested in were the ones about animals, because people's imagination when it comes to animals, they're so lively and bright, rather than just sort of telling a story or sorry, I love you. But animals, there's always something new and interesting and different that animals do. So we found a lot of these animal texts, and they all went into the piece. So long ago that I've written some of this that I really have to learn about it myself. So the sparrowhawk's complaint, the refrain, the fear of death confounds me, in Latin, of course, and so it became a bit of a funerary trudge, really, the trudge to the cemetery, and the little bird being terrified, and the fear of death confounding him. And so that's why it was written like it is, just with open fifths and this sort of constant refrain coming back. Having a husband who was a singer, who was the singer you're writing for, I knew how high his voice was and how low his voice was. So it goes from very low to very high. It covers 3 octaves. He's horrified when he sings it now. How can I get down there? How can I get up there? Or, how was it that I actually wrote it at the time? There were songs, and there were also little vocal activities that were meant to go on in the middle between the songs. It became they were very peculiar, sometimes using harmonics and vocal shenanigans, but just a sort of a little bit of this before it went into the next song. And I cut those out because nobody else in the world could have done these strange vocal noises and ideas, but they were little connecting things that were meant to connect up some quite staid songs in some way. The False Fox, with the story about the fox and the farmer's wife, and the voice rising and rising and rising and shouting from very soft to very loud, very simple declamatory ideas. Again, which were written specially for Roger's voice, and many of the effects that he got, really, other people couldn't. The opposite with the fish, the down, down, down declamatory sounds, which got softer and softer and more wriggly around in the piano like the fish. Now, the last one, the gentle cock, my children were absolutely horrified by. Doesn't Mum know what that means? And of course Mum did know what that meant, about the gentle cock croweth me day. It doth me risen early, my matins to say. So it was marginally shocking to those who wanted to be shocked, and the piece of music is much the most complex of all the songs. Again, not a big thing, but it was just a rather fun little collection of little animal songs. But my children still tell me how shocked they were.
His of red coral, his tail of it, his leg has been of azure, so gentle and small. His form is on of silver white, into the water wall his eye